What if I told you there's a community in America that's been prepping for the apocalypse since the 1700s? And no, they're not hoarding MREs or freeze-dried ice cream. They're eating real food, delicious, simple, and shelf-stable for years. Today, you're about to discover 20 Amish pantry staples you'll seriously regret not having when the grocery shelves go empty. Hey everyone, if you're into real food, smart budgeting, or just love that old-fashioned comfort taste, you're in the right place. The Amish, famous for their horse-drawn buggies and off-grid living, have quietly mastered food preservation without a single freezer or can of processed slop. They grow it, preserve it, and store it using methods that have stood the test of generations. And guess what? You can too. In this video, we're counting down 20 Amish foods that belong in every prepper pantry, not just for survival, but because they're actually good. Think long shelf life, zero waste, big flavor, and dirt cheap prices. Let's dive in. Number 1. Chow Chow. If you've never tried Chow Chow, you're missing out on one of the Amish pantry's best-kept secrets. It's a tangy, crunchy relish made from cabbage, onions, green tomatoes, and sometimes peppers, all chopped up and pickled in a sweet and sour brine. Think of it as the Amish cousin to kimchi, but with a zesty, old-fashioned twist. The best part? It stays good for years when sealed in a jar, no fridge needed. That makes it perfect for long-term storage, especially when you're building a prepper pantry that actually tastes good. A spoonful can turn a boring bowl of beans, a plain baked potato, or even a basic hot dog into something special. It's got that punchy flavor that wakes up any meal. And because it's fermented the traditional way, it's loaded with gut-friendly probiotics, great for digestion when fresh food is scarce. You can find it at Amish markets, country stores, or even make your own with garden leftovers. Once you taste it, you'll wonder how your pantry ever survived without it. Plus, it's cheap, shelf-stable, and adds a pop of flavor without needing power, preservatives, or fancy packaging. Just twist open a jar and boom, dinner just got a serious upgrade. Number 2. Apple butter. Apple butter isn't actually butter. It's slow-cooked apples, cinnamon, and sometimes a touch of cloves simmered for hours until thick, dark, and deeply sweet. The Amish make big batches in the fall using heirloom apples, then seal them in jars that last well over a year without spoiling. It's smooth, rich, and packed with real fruit flavor. No fake stuff, no high fructose corn syrup. Spread it on toast, stir it into oatmeal, or use it as a glaze for pork or chicken. It even works as a natural sweetener in baked goods when sugar is hard to come by. Because it's cooked down so long, it has less water content, which means it stores incredibly well in a cool, dark pantry. And unlike jam, it doesn't need refrigeration until you open it. A single jar can stretch through winter and still taste like autumn. Plus, it's surprisingly versatile. Mix it with vinegar for a quick barbecue sauce, or swirl it into plain yogurt for an instant treat. For preppers who want comfort, calories, and shelf life without compromise, apple butter is a no-brainer. It's nostalgic, nourishing, and ready whenever you are. No electricity required. Number 3. Soft white wheat berries. Soft white wheat berries are a prepper's dream grain and a staple in Amish pantries for good reason. These whole, unprocessed kernels are mild in flavor, lighter than red wheat, and perfect for baking tender breads, biscuits, or pancakes. Unlike store-bought flour that goes rancid in months, wheat berries stay fresh for decades when stored in airtight containers with oxygen absorbers. All you need is a hand-crank grain mill, no electricity, and you've got fresh flour on demand. The Amish use them daily, not just for survival, but because they taste better and keep longer. Plus, they're packed with fiber, protein, and slow-burning carbs to keep energy steady. You can also cook them whole like rice for hearty side dishes or add them to soups for extra texture. A 25-pound bag costs less than fancy prepper meals and feeds a family for weeks. They're quiet, unassuming, and take up little space, but when the power's out and stores are empty, Having your own wheat stash means you're never more than a few minutes away from real, homemade bread. Simple, smart, and seriously shelf-stable. Number 4. Rendered lard. Don't knock lard until you've tried the real thing, especially the kind the Amish render from pasture-raised pigs. This isn't the greasy, processed stuff from the supermarket. Properly rendered lard is clean, neutral in flavor, and incredibly stable. Stored in a sealed jar in a cool pantry, it can last over a year without going bad. The Amish use it for everything, frying eggs, roasting potatoes, and making the flakiest pie crusts you've ever tasted. It's also surprisingly healthy, rich in monounsaturated fats and vitamin D, especially when it comes from happy, outdoor-raised hogs. For preppers, lard is a calorie-dense fat that doesn't need refrigeration, unlike butter or oil that can turn rancid. A little goes a long way, and it adds richness to meals when flavor is the last thing most survival foods offer. Plus, it's cheap if you render it yourself or buy it from a local farm. Skip the hydrogenated shortenings. Real lard is simple, traditional, and built to last. In a world of healthy oils that spoil fast, lard stands the test of time and taste. Number 5. Dilly green beans. Crisp, garlicky, and soaked in a tangy vinegar brine, Amish dilly green beans are the unsung heroes of the canned veggie world. They're made in summer when beans are plentiful, packed into jars with dill, garlic, and a splash of vinegar, then sealed for long-term storage. Done right, they stay crunchy and flavorful for 3 to 5 years, no fridge needed. Unlike mushy store-bought canned beans, these keep their snap and bright taste, making them a go-to side dish or salad topper even in the middle of winter. They're also dead simple to make, just fresh beans, salt, vinegar, and herbs. For preppers, they're a rare win. Low-cost, nutrient-rich, and full of gut-friendly acidity that helps preserve them naturally. Plus, they add a burst of freshness to otherwise bland survival meals. Open a jar over a bowl of rice and beans, and suddenly dinner feels like it came from a kitchen, not a bunker. The Amish have been putting these up for generations, not just to survive, but to eat well while doing it. And honestly, they're so good you'll find yourself snacking on them straight from the jar long before any emergency hits. Number 6. Beet kvass. Beet kvass might sound strange, but it's a traditional Amish-style fermented drink that's both simple and surprisingly powerful. Made by soaking chopped beets in water with a bit of salt and sometimes whey or sourdough starter, it ferments for a few days into a deep red, slightly tangy tonic. The Amish and other Old World communities have used it for generations to support digestion, liver health, and hydration. Because it's fermented, it's loaded with natural probiotics and electrolytes, making it a smart addition to any prepper pantry when fresh produce or supplements aren't available. Stored in a cool, dark place, it lasts for months without spoiling. You only need a small glass a day. Some folks even use it as a base for soups or salad dressings. It's earthy, refreshing, and way more interesting than plain water during long stretches indoors. Plus, it's made from beets you can grow yourself and store through winter. No fancy equipment, no electricity, just time, salt, and a jar. In a world of sugary sports drinks and artificial powders, beet kvass is the quiet, humble drink that actually works. And once you try it, you might just find yourself craving that deep, clean tang when things feel off-kilter. Number 8. Shelled walnuts in honey. Here's a prepper trick the Amish have quietly perfected: storing shelled walnuts in honey. It sounds almost too simple, but it works like magic. The honey acts as a natural preservative. Its low moisture and antibacterial properties keep the nuts fresh, crisp, and safe to eat for years, even without refrigeration. Walnuts on their own can go rancid in just a few months, but sealed in honey, they stay good, tasty, and packed with healthy fats, protein, and brain-boosting omega-3s. The Amish often keep jars of this combo in their pantries as a ready-made energy boost, perfect for stirring into oatmeal, spreading on hardtack, or eating by the spoonful when you need quick fuel. Plus, the honey adds a touch of natural sweetness that lifts your mood on tough days. It's comfort and nutrition in one jar. And since both ingredients are shelf-stable on their own, together they become an even more resilient food source. No additives, no packaging waste, just two wholesome things working together the old-fashioned way. For anyone building a pantry that's both practical and satisfying, walnuts in honey are a small luxury that pays off big when times get lean. Number 8. Cornmeal, stone ground. Forget the bland, ultra-processed cornmeal in the supermarket aisle. Amish pantries rely on stone-ground cornmeal milled the old-fashioned way between granite wheels. This method keeps the germ and bran intact, which means more flavor, nutrients, and that rich golden taste you just can't fake. It's perfect for making cornbread, mush, hoe cakes, or even thickening soups and stews. And because it's less refined, it stores better than you'd think, up to 2 to 5 years in a cool, dry place when kept in an airtight container, even longer with oxygen absorbers. The Amish use it weekly, not just as a side, but as a backbone for simple, filling meals that cost pennies. A hot bowl of cornmeal mush with a spoonful of lard and honey? That's comfort food that fuels a full day of work. For preppers, it's lightweight, calorie-dense, and endlessly versatile. No electricity needed, just mix with water, salt, and a little fat, and you've got sustenance that tastes like home. Plus, it's naturally gluten-free, making it a safe staple for many diets. In a world of overcomplicated survival rations, stone-ground cornmeal is proof that sometimes the oldest ways are still the best. Number 9. Canned venison or beef. The Amish don't wait for disasters to stock up on protein. They preserve it themselves, often canning venison from fall hunts or beef from their own livestock. Using a pressure canner, a must for meat, they seal jars of tender, fully cooked meat that stays safe and edible for 2 to 5 years. No freezer, no electricity, no fuss. Open a jar and you've got ready-to-eat stew meat, shredded beef, or hearty chunks for soups and casseroles. It's real food, not mystery powder or chalky bars. The flavor is rich and clean, especially when the animals are pasture-raised, and it delivers the protein your body needs when fresh meat isn't an option. For preppers, this is a game changer. High-calorie, shelf-stable, and deeply satisfying. Plus, it uses every part of the animal, nothing wasted. While most survival plans overlook long-term meat storage, the Amish have been doing it for generations, turning seasonal abundance into year-round security. A single shelf of canned meat can carry a family through winter or worse. And unlike store-bought canned meats loaded with sodium and preservatives, homemade versions are simple, just meat, salt, and thyme. When your pantry holds real beef or venison in a jar, you're not just surviving, you're eating like you still have a kitchen. Number 10. Sorghum syrup. Sorghum syrup is the Amish answer to refined sugar, and it's been sweetening their pantries long before maple or honey became trendy. Made by pressing juice from sorghum cane and slowly boiling it down, this thick amber syrup has a deep, earthy sweetness with hints of molasses and caramel, but without the bitterness. It doesn't crystallize like honey, won't spoil in storage, and can last indefinitely in a sealed jar kept in a cool, dark place. The Amish use it to sweeten biscuits, glaze hams, bake into pies, or even drizzle over morning grits. For preppers, it's a natural, nutrient-rich sweetener packed with iron, potassium, and B vitamins, far more than plain white sugar. And because it's made from a hardy crop that grows well in poor soil, it's also incredibly sustainable. A single jug can replace sugar in nearly any recipe, adding moisture and flavor while extending shelf life. Plus, it's often cheaper than maple syrup and just as versatile. In a world where most emergency foods taste like cardboard, a spoonful of sorghum syrup brings warmth, comfort, and a touch of old-fashioned sweetness that reminds you some things are worth preserving. Number 11. Dried sweet corn. Dried sweet corn is one of those quiet Amish pantry staples that doesn't get enough credit until you need it. Unlike canned corn or popcorn, this is field corn or sweet corn sliced off the cob and dried slowly in the sun or in a low oven until rock hard. The Amish store it in cloth sacks or glass jars, where it stays good for 10 years or more. When you're ready to use it, just soak it in water overnight, then simmer until tender. It plumps right back up, tasting like summer corn straight from the garden. Use it in soups, stews, succotash, or grind it into coarse meal for cornbread. It's lightweight, takes up little space, and delivers real carbs and fiber when fresh produce is gone. Plus, it's dirt cheap to make if you grow your own or buy in bulk from farm stands. For preppers tired of bland survival carbs, dried corn is a flavorful, filling alternative that actually tastes like food. No additives, no BPA-lined cans, no waste. Just pure, simple corn that's ready when you are. And on a cold night, a pot of corn and beans simmering on the stove, that's not just survival, that's home. Number 12. Buttermilk powder. Real buttermilk powder, made from cultured buttermilk, not the fake stuff, is a secret weapon in the Amish prepper's pantry. The Amish often dry their own buttermilk after churning butter, turning a perishable dairy byproduct into a shelf-stable powder that lasts 2 years or more in a cool, dry place. Unlike regular milk powder, this stuff has a tangy, slightly sour flavor that brings depth to biscuits, pancakes, and mashed potatoes. Just stir a few spoonfuls into water, and you've got real buttermilk. No fridge required. It's also packed with probiotics and enzymes that support digestion, something most emergency foods completely ignore. For baking, it's a game changer. It reacts with baking soda to create fluffy, tender results every time. And because it's low in fat, it doesn't go rancid like whole milk powder can. The Amish use it year-round, especially in winter when fresh dairy is scarce. For preppers, it's an easy way to add richness, nutrition, and comfort to basic meals without relying on electricity or cold storage. A little jar of buttermilk powder might look humble, but it turns plain flour and water into something that tastes like it came from Grandma's kitchen, not a survival bunker. Number 13. Pickled eggs. Pickled eggs are the Amish version of a protein-packed, ready-to-eat snack that keeps for months without refrigeration. Yes, really. Hard-boiled eggs are submerged in a simple brine of vinegar, salt, sugar, and spices like mustard seed, dill, or even beet juice for color. The acid in the vinegar preserves them, while the spices add bold, tangy flavor. Stored in a cool cellar or pantry, they stay safe and tasty for 3 to 4 months, sometimes longer. The Amish often make big batches after Easter or during spring cleaning when egg production peaks. For preppers, they're the ultimate no-cook, high-protein food that requires zero prep when you open the jar. Just grab and go. They're great on their own, chopped into salads or sliced on top of beans and rice for a quick meal upgrade. And unlike canned meats or protein bars, they actually taste fresh and satisfying. Plus, they use up extra eggs before they spoil. Zero waste, full flavor. A jar of pickled eggs might look old-fashioned, but it's one of the smartest, simplest ways to keep quality protein on hand when the power's out or the stores are empty. Just don't be surprised if you start craving that vinegary bite long before any emergency hits. Number 14. Homemade crackers, hardtack style. Don't let the name fool you. Hardtack style crackers might sound tough, but in the Amish pantry, they're a lifeline. Made with just 3 ingredients, flour, water, and a pinch of salt, they're rolled thin, baked until dry, and stored in tins or cloth bags where they can last for years. The Amish keep them on hand not as a snack, but as a reliable base for meals when fresh bread isn't possible. Dunk them in soup, spread them with lard and honey, or crumble them into stews to stretch a pot further. They're lightweight, calorie-dense, and need no refrigeration or special handling. Unlike store-bought crackers loaded with oils and preservatives that go stale fast, these stay crisp and edible for ages because they contain almost no moisture. For preppers, they're the ultimate backup carb. Simple to make in bulk, cheap as dirt, and ready whenever hunger strikes. And while they're plain on their own, that's the point. They're a blank canvas for whatever flavor you have on hand. A jar of apple butter, a smear of lard, or even a sprinkle of dried herbs turns them into something comforting. In hard times, a cracker might seem small, but when it's all you've got, it's everything. Number 15. Canned pumpkin. Canned pumpkin is a humble superstar in the Amish pantry, especially the kind they put up themselves in the fall. Made from sugar pumpkins or winter squash, it's cooked down, pureed, and sealed in jars using a pressure canner. No sugar, no fillers, just smooth, rich pumpkin that stays good for 3 to 5 years. The Amish use it year-round, in pies, of course, but also stirred into soups for creaminess, baked into breads, or even thinned with broth for a simple sauce. For preppers, it's a nutritional powerhouse, loaded with vitamin A, fiber, and antioxidants when fresh veggies are scarce. It's also incredibly versatile. Mix it with oats for breakfast, blend it into pancake batter, or use it to stretch meat dishes with added moisture and flavor. Unlike store-bought canned pumpkin that sometimes contains additives or filler squash, homemade is pure and deeply flavorful. And because it's low in acidity, it stores safely for years when canned properly. A shelf of pumpkin jars means you're never far from comfort food, even in the dead of winter or during long emergencies. Plus, it's one of the few prepper foods that actually improves morale, because who doesn't feel better with a slice of warm pumpkin bread? Number 16. Dried apples. Dried apples are a classic Amish pantry staple, and for good reason. Thinly sliced in the fall and dried slowly in the sun, in a wood stove's warmth, or in a simple dehydrator, they turn into sweet, chewy strips that store beautifully for 2 years or more. The Amish often skip sulfites or added sugar, so what you get is pure apple, concentrated, fragrant, and full of natural sweetness. Keep them in glass jars with a bay leaf to keep bugs out, and they'll stay soft and tasty through winter and beyond. For preppers, they're a lightweight, no-cook source of energy, fiber, and vitamins when fresh fruit is gone. Toss them into oatmeal, rehydrate them for pies or stews, or just snack on them straight from the jar. They also make a great morale booster. There's something deeply comforting about that familiar apple flavor on a hard day. And unlike store-bought dried fruit soaked in sugar or oil, Amish-style dried apples are simple, clean, and shelf-stable without fancy packaging. From a backyard tree can become months of pantry security. Plus, kids and adults actually want to eat them. No convincing needed. In a world of bland survival rations, dried apples are proof that prepping can still taste like childhood. Number 17. Shoe fly pie mix, dry ingredients. Yes, the Amish even prep for dessert, and their shoe fly pie dry mix is pure genius. It's not a store-bought box with weird additives. Instead, it's a simple blend of brown sugar, molasses powder, or dehydrated molasses crumbles, flour, and spices like cinnamon, all stored together in a sealed jar. When you're ready to bake, just add hot water or milk, pour it into a pre-made crust or even a cast-iron skillet with a quick flour and lard base and pop it in the oven or cook it over a wood stove. The result? A warm, gooey, molasses-rich pie that tastes like comfort in every bite. Stored properly, this dry mix lasts 1 to 2 years without losing flavor or quality. For preppers, it's more than just dessert. It's a morale lifter, a taste of normalcy, and a clever way to preserve the deep sweetness of molasses without liquid spoilage. The Amish know that in hard times, a little sweetness goes a long way for the soul. And unlike fancy baking kits that need refrigeration or eggs, this mix needs almost nothing to turn pantry staples into something special. On a cold night or a stressful day, a slice of shoe fly pie says, "We're still okay." And sometimes that's the most important prep of all. Number 18. Canned tomatoes, whole or crushed. Canned tomatoes are the backbone of the Amish kitchen, and for good reason. Every summer when the vines are heavy with ripe red fruit, Amish families spend days canning bushels of tomatoes, either whole, crushed, or as sauce. Sealed in glass jars using a water bath or pressure canner, they stay rich, tangy, and ready to use for 3 to 5 years. No preservatives, no BPA linings, just tomatoes, maybe a sprig of basil or a pinch of salt. For preppers, this is liquid gold. The base for soups, stews, chili, pasta sauce, or even a quick tomato gravy over biscuits. They add acidity, depth, and vital nutrients like lycopene and vitamin C when fresh produce is months away. Unlike store-bought cans that can taste metallic or bland, home-canned tomatoes burst with garden-fresh flavor because they're picked and preserved at peak ripeness. The Amish rely on them all winter long, turning a simple pot of beans into a hearty meal with just a jarful. And because tomatoes are easy to grow and preserve, they're one of the most cost-effective pantry items you can stock. A shelf lined with red jars isn't just storage, it's security, flavor, and warmth waiting to happen. When everything else feels scarce, a pot of tomato soup can still feel like abundance. Number 19. Popcorn kernels. Don't underestimate the power of plain popcorn kernels in a prepper pantry. They're more than just a snack. The Amish keep dried popcorn on hand not just for movie nights, but as a lightweight, long-lasting whole grain that stores for 10 years or more when sealed in Mylar bags or airtight jars with oxygen absorbers. Unlike fancy gourmet varieties, Amish popcorn is simple, non-hybrid, and bred for reliability, meaning it'll still pop perfectly even after a decade in storage. All you need is a pot, a lid, and a little heat. No microwave required, and you've got hot, fluffy popcorn in minutes. Toss it with a bit of rendered lard and salt, and suddenly you've got a satisfying, fiber-rich food that feels like a treat. But it's not just for snacking. You can grind it into cornmeal, cook it as porridge, or even use it in breads. For preppers, it's a rare combo, high in carbs, shelf-stable, cheap, and genuinely enjoyable. Plus, it's a huge morale booster, especially for kids when meals start feeling repetitive. In a world of bland survival rations, the cheerful pop, pop, pop of kernels hitting a hot pan is a small sound of normalcy, and sometimes that's worth more than you think. Number 20. Homemade vanilla extract. Homemade vanilla extract is the quiet luxury every prepper pantry deserves, and the Amish have been making it for generations. All it takes are vanilla beans and food-grade alcohol, like vodka or grain alcohol, steeped together in a jar for a few weeks. That's it. No sugar, no additives, just deep, rich vanilla flavor that actually improves with time. Stored in a cool, dark place, it lasts indefinitely. Yes, forever, because the alcohol preserves it completely. For the Amish, it's not just for baking. It's a way to add warmth and familiarity to simple meals. A few drops can turn plain oatmeal, rice pudding, or even a mug of warm milk into something that feels cared for. In hard times, flavor matters, and vanilla is one of the most comforting scents and tastes there is. Unlike store-bought versions loaded with corn syrup or artificial vanillin, real homemade extract is pure, potent, and deeply aromatic. And once you make your first batch, you'll never go back. A single jar costs pennies to make, but adds soul to everything it touches. When your pantry holds real vanilla, you're not just surviving, you're still baking like someone you love is coming home. So there you have it, 20 Amish pantry staples that blend old-world wisdom with real-world practicality. These aren't just survival foods. They're honest, flavorful, and built to last without relying on power, plastic, or processed junk. From tangy chow chow to forever fresh vanilla extract, each item proves that prepping doesn't have to mean sacrificing taste, nutrition, or peace of mind. The Amish have spent centuries perfecting this balance, and now you can too, right in your own kitchen. If you've found even one new staple you're excited to try or already love, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button. It helps more folks discover smart, simple prepping like this. Drop a comment below and tell me, which of these 20 are you adding to your pantry first? I read every single one. And if you're serious about building a pantry that's both practical and full of real food, subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss our next video, where we're diving into 10 Amish kitchen tools that cost less than $10 but last a lifetime. Thanks for watching, and remember, the best preps don't just keep you alive, they help you live well no matter what.